This is Lucas Ross Sports. Lucas Ross, your commentator. We continue our 2022 college football predictions. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons are up next. I give my thoughts on this team, give you my official prediction for this team, and preview the schedule, and I will go from there. But before we do that, let's look back at 2021 for this Wake Forest team. Looking back to 2021 for Wake Forest, they went 11-3 overall. Pretty much one of the top teams out of the Atlantic Division last year, ahead of Clemson. I think Wake Forest has a chance to be that really productive again. You look at the offense and defensive rankings from last year's team. 4th on offense last year. Solid offensive team last year. This should be a really good offense once again, led by Sam Hartman at quarterback. Probably one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country coming into this season. Defensively, they were 88th on defense. That defense has a lot to improve from last year. I think they'll be quite good, but it just comes down to that defense in order to really have some big wins this season. Points per game and opponents per game, 41 points on the offensive side of the ball. You could tell that offense was really explosive on that side of the ball. Defensively, they were 28.9 points given up on the defensive side of the ball. So my thoughts on this Wake Forest team is I think they'll be really good, maybe one of the top teams, close to one of the top teams out of the Atlantic Division this season. And I think they have a chance to have a really fantastic, another great season this year. Here's the schedule for Wake Forest for the upcoming season. You look at who they play out of the non-conference. They'll play VMI on September 1st. That should be an easy win there. They'll play Vanderbilt on the road, Liberty at home, and then Army at home. So the non-conference schedule is a little bit tough for Wake Forest, but Vanderbilt on the road shouldn't be a really big problem. I think the only toughest game I think they'll have to face out of the non-conference is Army because they like to run that triple option. But it's all about that first game. Let's start with that first game against VMI on September 1st. They should take care of business in this game. Have no business in losing that one. And I got Wake Forest starting out 1-0. And then here's the game on the road at Vanderbilt on September 10th. This is a pretty interesting non-conference game. I mean, Wake Forest going on the road to play Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, though, really not explosive this season. Yes, they do have production coming back, but just the talent is not there for Vanderbilt right now. Everybody's not really expecting Vanderbilt to be that good again this season. I know this game is on the road. I mean, it's some sort of, big test there to begin the season, but I think Wake Forest should go on the road. They're really led by one of the best quarterbacks in their time down there. I think Sam Hartman is a winning quarterback, and I think he does go on the road and defeat Vanderbilt. And I also got Wake Forest beating Liberty here on September 17th. Liberty should be a really big challenge, but I think they'll be able to win that one. And I think Liberty, is not the same team as they were last year. So I'm going to go with Wake Forest to get that one. And I got them starting out 3-0. Clemson coming up next year on September 24th. Big game here in the ACC Conference. I mean, perhaps two of the top teams, maybe out of the Atlantic Division this year, maybe besides, other teams. This one's going to be a good one, though. I think it's going to be a shootout-type game. Just comes down to that defense for Wake Forest in this game. It's a close one to call, but, I had to go with Clemson in this game. I just think Clemson will be a lot better than they were last year, and I think they give Wake Forest their first loss of the season here on September 24th. So I got Wake Forest now at 3-1. Heading into the month of October now, they'll play Florida State here on the road. Tough place to play here on the road at Florida State. Florida State should be a much better team this season. They have a lot of production coming back on both sides of the ball. I mean, this one is going to be a good one as well. Probably similar to the Clemson game is that I think they'll have a shootout type game. I think, defensively, it just comes down to that Wake Forest defense, like I said. But with home field advantage and also a coin flip type game, I'm going to go with home field advantage, and that's going to be the Florida State Seminoles. I'm going to pick Florida State to beat Wake Forest here, and I got Wake Forest losing 2 straight, but I have them beating Army here on October 8th, but this is not going to be an easy non-conference game. I mean, Army likes to waste the clock, run that triple option. It's going to be a really big challenge there for Wake Forest, but they should be able to still win that game. Then Wake Forest gets a bye week before playing Boston College here at home. I mean, Boston College should be an okay team, not a, decent team or something like that. I think they're just going to be an average type team, but I'm just not really high on the Eagles this season. I think they have, they lost a lot of production on that side, both sides of the ball. I think Wake Forest, with them at home, they will win this game perhaps by a couple touchdowns, maybe by 17 or somewhere in that range. But I got Wake Forest winning that one. on October 22nd. The bye week helps them out as well, and I think they improve to 5-2. Next game is on the road at Louisville. This is a big game here in the ACC as well, in the Atlantic Division. Louisville going to be a, better team than last year. I mean, Louisville has a lot of production coming back, and of course, Cunningham back at quarterback. So it's going to be Sam Hardman versus Cunningham here at quarterback. Really good quarterback, duel going at it here. I think Louisville, though, will hang around in this game for a long time. But at the end of the day, though, I think, the talent is there for Wake Forest. I think Louisville will come up short of an upset. I think Wake Forest does go on the road and at least beats a team out of the ACC on the road. I think they do defeat Louisville here on the road. I think Wake Forest's talent is kind of better than Louisville as well. So I'm going to go with the Demon Deacons to win over the Cardinals. Then they get to the month of November now. They have a 6-2 overall record. They'll play NC State here on the road. This is also a big game. This is also a big game out of the Atlantic Division. NC State should be a lot better of a team this season. Ton of production coming back as well. I think, Wake Forest, it's kind of similar to that Florida State game where it just comes down to a coin flip type game. With that being said, though, it's a home field advantage game for NC State. I'm going to go with the Wolfpack. I think NC State does defeat Wake Forest here and gives Wake Forest their third loss of the season. North Carolina coming up next here at home, so you get North Carolina out of the Coastal Division. So you have to end things out with two out of the three games here that are at home are actually on the road at Duke. But North Carolina, let's take a look at them first. North Carolina is going to be a team this year that just lost a lot of production on their both sides of their ball. But I think this game right here, Wake Forest will repeat after that NC State loss. And I think they do get a win here over North Carolina on November the 12th. Syracuse coming up next year at home. This should be an easy win here for Wake Forest. I don't think Syracuse is going to be all that talented this season. Yes, they do have production coming back, but it just won't be enough. I think Wake Forest will win this one against Syracuse. And then they end things out on the road at Duke. So you get Duke out of the Coastal Division this season. This should be not a big, upset alert type game or something like that. Duke is going to be a young team this season. I just don't see Duke being all that competitive in the Coastal Division this year as well. I got Wake Forest winning that one on the road. And I got Wake Forest ending things out and finishing 2022 with an overall record at 9-3. They could potentially still lose to Louisville, maybe perhaps go 8-4. But they can perhaps still go 9-3 if they beat Clemson. Maybe 10-2 is possible as well. But I think Wake Forest is still a good team, and I think they will have a shot to maybe win the Atlantic Division this season. But that concludes my prediction for Wake Forest at 9-3. Stay tuned here for more on Lucas Ross Sports.